Hello there. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly, and tonight we're talking about our angle. We're going to create a two-page layout with angles tonight using the Wildflower Celebrations Scrapbooking Workshop Kit. Now, the Scrapbooking Workshop Kit contains all kinds of goodies, including punch-outs, so that I believe there's two 12 by 12 punch-out sheets, and I've punched these out already, and I'm going to organize them in my Junk Gypsy tray because this two-page layout is going to be part of my 12-page Sparkle and Shine Wildflower Celebrations workshop. So I want to get everything punched out and ready so that I can create all 12 pages at once. So I've also cut apart most of the stickers on the sticker sheet. So I've put the titles with the titles, florals with florals, leaves and flourishes together, cakes and cupcakes together, tags and journal pieces together, balloons together, and then I'm going to be also adding the coordinating party dots that go with this collection. Now let's take a look at the designer series paper that comes in this set. So you get 6 sheets of designer series paper with this workshop, and it is 2 sheets each of 3 double-sided patterns, typically a more busy pattern on one side and a more muted pattern on the other, but you also get 4 extra specialty sheets of pattern paper that aren't included in any other set. So that's really nice to stretch your workshop. You get some coordinating cardstock that comes with the workshop kit, and I'm also going to be adding to my workshop some white willow cardstock as well as the Wildflower Celebrations cardstock. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is pull out the title opportunities. So I have 3 large title opportunities on the sticker sheet that comes in this collection or this scrapbooking workshop kit, and I actually need 6 titles. So here is where it's easy to stretch the materials to 12 pages, even though the original scrapbooking workshop only creates 6, but it's a little harder to come up with titles. So I'm going to be adding a couple Cricut titles, but I want to embed a title right there with Cricut writing. So I'm going to pull out an 11.5 by 11.5 inch square, which is a free square. And then I'm going to add an 8-inch and a 9-inch circle. So the 8-inch circle, I'm going to select both images, and I'm going to select the 8-inch circle over the top of the 11.5 by 11.5 inch square, select the whole thing, and slice that 8-inch circle out. Of course, I centered that first. You can hit the center button. I like to center vertically and horizontally, but you can just hit the center button and center the whole thing at once. And then I'm going to get rid of that extra piece in there after I slice it out. Then I'm going to bring the 9-inch circle over the top of that and center it. But I'm actually going to reduce that to 8.5 inches. I'm going to change that to a draw circle. Now, I accidentally changed the whole thing to draw, and I didn't mean to do that. So I do change that back. That original 11.5 by 11.5 inch square with the circle cut out of it is going to be a cut image. And then I'm adding that draw circle to the top by hitting pen. I'm going to select my images, attach that draw circle to the cut circle, which I notice here that I actually made both of those into draw. So I'm fixing that. So we're going to pull that draw circle, that 8.5 inch draw circle over the top of the cut file there, the cut rectangle. Select those images and attach that draw circle to the top. Now it's just going to give me an interesting circle where it's going to cut the circle out and it's going to draw a circle around it when you have a Cricut pen loaded. Next, I'm going to choose the title that I want, and I want a title called This Is Us. I'm going to choose the warp tool and I'm going to curve that title so I can attach that title around the circle. I'm going to make it into a draw image, and then I'm going to select both of those images and hit attach. And it's going to attach that draw title onto the front of my cut and draw image. And then I'm going to have this cool circle with lines around it and the title embedded in it. And it's a great way to get not only a cool background for your layout, but to stretch your titles. And I love being able to do that because we're going to need to find titles in other places because we're stretching a 6-page workshop into 12 pages. Now I have an idea for these pages and I'll tell you about that in a minute, but it's going to coordinate with this blue dot paper. I love this blue dot paper, blueberry bushel dot paper, but I'm going to gut it out because I just need the frame and I don't want to waste the interior. So I'm going to go 1 inch down and 1 inch in, and I'm going to go from 1 inch to 11 inches all the way around to create a frame and to leave me with a center square that I'm going to be able to use for other parts and pieces in this workshop. Now I'm going to be using this scrapbook layout for a really fun photo op that I'm planning. Yes, once in a great while, I actually plan my own photo ops. Now you can see that I'm going to be using that dot pattern in the background, the two 11.5 by 11.5 inch willow white pieces, the one that we've adjusted on the Cricut, and another piece as the top base. And here's where the angles come in. Now I have created so many circle layouts. In fact, 2 months ago, I created a whole video with a huge amount of circle scrapbook layout that I shared. So you could see all the different kinds of circle layouts that I've created. But I wanted to create one that has angles in it. So I'm pulling out the pattern paper and I'm trying to find 3 different sets of 2 patterns that go together that I can arrange around the circle in angles. So I've created circle layouts in my scrapbooking pages that have like patchwork squares behind the circle, torn strips behind the circle, embellishments like hearts all the way around the circle. I've done it all, it seems like, but I've never done one with angles. So of course I do need a white piece in the back because I need a white background. I don't need an additional white piece on the right page, just on the left page. And I've cut some 2.5 inch strips and some 3 inch strips. And what I envision is some 2.5 by 5 inch strips for the bottom more muted pattern, and then a 3 by 3 square for a top busier pattern. So I'm going to cut those on angles so we really don't have to use very much designer series paper at all. So if I have 3 pieces that are 2.5 by 5 and I cut those on an angle, and then I have 3 pieces that are 3 by 3 and I cut those on an angle, that will allow me 3 sets of 2 angled pieces for the left page and 3 sets of 2 angled pieces for the right page. And that's my vision anyway. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to arrange it, but I envision having my photos running through the center of those angles. And I love the concept of making them a Polaroid style photo. So we'll be talking about those measurements, but I'm getting ready to leave next week for my very first Stampin' Up! On stage, which is basically a convention. It is a Stampin' Up! Convention called On Stage. It's in North Carolina, and I have roomies. I have roommates. I have a couple downline that are sharing a suite with me, and we're going to have so much fun. I feel like I'm having a slumber party. And I often will get rooms by myself at these types of things because it's overwhelming. You're with people all day and it's just, it's nice to have your own room. But I decided to room with 2 of my friends and downline, and I have just been giddy with excitement. So I actually got us matching pajamas, and they're scrapbooking themed, and they have that blueberry bushel color in them. So they're a wonderful striped pajama bottom with a really cute blueberry bushel blue top, and I thought we could do some photo ops. I never really get to do girly photo ops like that. And the shirts say a weekend forecast is scrapbooking with a chance of wine. And I thought how fun it might be when we're winding down at night to have a tiny little glass of wine and sit in our pajamas and talk about all the creating and the crafting and the people and the fun and the new products. And so I was so excited that I thought I would do a layout that includes about 4 photos, just a few photos to document that evening. So unless they're watching this tonight, they don't know that this is happening. And so I'm totally setting them up for this, and it's so fun. I'm so excited to do this. I don't know how many of you out there have ever really wanted to do a layout really badly, and then you set the photo op up after. I haven't done that often, but I have done that a time or two when there was such cute paper that I just couldn't resist, that I had to. So now you can see that I'm creating my angles on the right page, and I'm going to use the angles in a similar way as I did on the left page underneath the circle. Now I'm going to grab a pen. Now I could use a black Le Pen, which is something that I use a lot, or I could use a white gel pen. I decided to use a white gel pen. It's going to be really faint on some of the triangles, and it's going to show up more boldly on, of course, the darker triangles. Now, the trick to a white gel pen, and I have a 0.10 jelly roll pen, but the trick to them is to be gentle. The harder you push, the less the liquid comes out. You just really want it to roll gently, and it adds a nice subtle edge. Now, I was thinking that I wanted to have Polaroids. So whenever I'm making a Polaroid style photo mat, I always go 1 inch longer. So I'm going to go 3 1/4 for the 3x3 photos, but I'm going to go 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then for the 4 1/4, I'm going to go 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. So 1 inch longer than the photo or the opposite side size. So I'm going to need to find some pattern paper or cardstock to mount the white on. I don't want to have white Polaroids on a white background, but I really only want to use maybe a new pattern that I haven't used that coordinates, or have something that will tone it down a little bit. So I kind of liked the blue cardstock, but it was a little too bold. So I end up going with and I think it's boho blue is the nearest color that I could liken that to. I'm not exactly sure. It almost reminds me of a close to my heart periwinkle. So I decided to round the corners on the Polaroid mats, and then round just the top corners of the photo and leave the bottom of the photo square. And so I think that's going to look really good. I'm going to pop the photos up on the mat and make those look like Polaroid photos. I like that idea. And then I'm going to toggle a couple pieces of pattern paper underneath and kind of strategically place the pattern paper underneath so that the photo mats pop and so that the angles still show. I like the concept of having these angles as something new and something different and something that could be a little bit more unique than just a traditional circle. So I'm kind of trying to sort out what size I think these pieces could be, and my final sizes, I do play around with it. I trim a little more off here and there. So my final size that I end up going with is the bottom layer. The pink bottom layer is 4 3/4 by 6 1/2 on the left page. And then the top, I think it's boho blue layer is 4 1/4 by 6. Then on the right page, my final answer, I end up with, let's see, a 5 by 9 for the bottom layer, and then the top layer is 4 by 8 3/4. And so I'm just, toggling. The one on the right is going to be a little skinnier than the photo mats, and the one on the left is actually going to encompass most of the photo mats. But I think that's going to work great because I want to make sure that the title or the triangles are a little bit separated from everything else. I do see myself popping up that top white base layer. And so what I do is I put foam dimensionals around the whole outside of that layer, but I don't peel off the dimensionals that are closest to the center because I need to be able to slide triangles under without them getting caught on the dimensionals. I can always take the foam tape or the peeling off of the foam dimensionals later, or just leave them. It's still going to act as a foam pop there, and it doesn't actually hurt it a bit if you don't peel them all. So now I'm just going to get placement, and I'm going to go all the way around. So like I said, I did share a video, and I'll share it again, of tons of layouts. It was a big layout share of circle layouts. I love to use circles. I also love to use my Sparkle and Shine workshops, because they're 12 pages, as an opportunity to steal away a couple pages out of those 12 pages and just kind of experiment or play or have a little fun or step outside of the box or try something I haven't tried before. Because it's 12 pages, I feel like I can take 2 of those 12 pages in each workshop and do something where I'm trying something new. I think sometimes, I know I do anyway, I don't know if other people do, but sometimes we have a style. We don't necessarily even know that we do, but we definitely have signature things that we do over and over. I know I'm very much known for frames. I love to use frames around my pages, not just the backgrounds, but I like to use front frames, stitched frames, scallop frames, all different kinds of overlays. I love using those things. I also love to use larger Cricut elements on my Sparkle and Shine workshops. And then I have certain signature things that are probably recognizable in my style. I know that the YouTubers that I watch and I watch them create, I start to recognize their style out and about. And often I might see their style and be like, hey, I know that's so-and-so. And we do that without even knowing, but sometimes it's nice to break out of that. I know I have a tendency to use my favorite things, so I like to find something new that I haven't tried and add something new to my Sparkle and Shine workshop. And that way I know that my paper crafters will have an opportunity to try something new and something different in each workshop, and yet they'll have 10 other pages that will be a little more of what they're used to traditionally. And so it's kind of fun to do something different, and I love giving these angles a try. So now I'm just basically working with these base pieces and trying to get my Polaroids to fit. And then once we get this base figured out, I think we need to do some treatments. We need to add some color. It's a lot of white space. I don't want to go too crazy, but I think we could do some ink blending in the background and maybe a little bit of splatter to fill in some of that white space in the back and to add some interest and some color. I'm kind of like rearranging the triangles. At first, I think that I don't want same triangles kind of like next to each other in the pages, and then I just for different reasons, it just making it look right, like if I have them a little bit more like the opposite, I was thinking. So like if the green gingham is opposite on a diagonal, and then if the the pool party scallop piece is opposite of the other pool party scallop piece, and just get a tiny bit of color balance there. So I'm pulling out maybe one coordinating color in each set. So if I have the soft sea foam for the gingham, the green gingham, I pulled out boho blue for that middle section, pool party for the top section, and then I'm thinking, I haven't quite decided at this point in the video if I will marker that title, maybe use some Stampin' Write markers, or maybe use some Stampin' Blend markers, or maybe I will just ink blend over the top of that in that pretty in pink color, a contrasting color. So I'm going to do a little bit of a hue, just hardly any at all, but just a little hue to add a really fun pop of color. This is such a colorful, beautiful set. I did just finish my Simply Scrappin' 10-page workshop in this series, but I used the for the Simply Scrappin', I used the Wildflower Birthday Designer Series paper in the sticker sheet, and that actually had gold foil in it. So I love that we got two different takes. So we get all of the extra punch-out pieces and other things that come, the extra paper that comes in the scrapbooking workshop kit, but I love that we get the gold foil for the Simply Scrappin'. We have two different types, but one overall theme, and I'll be doing probably here this week before I leave for North Carolina, I'll be doing a one paper line 3 ways video where you'll get to see the company Wildflower Celebration 6-page workshop. You'll get to see my Wildflower Birthday 10-page Simply Scrappin', and then you'll get to see this full workshop, the Wildflower Celebration Sparkle and Shine. So I always love that. I love to see all 3 together. I know it's a little hard not seeing the photos, but I promise as soon as we take the photos this next weekend with my roomies, I'm going to share it out on social media. I'm so excited for it. So silly, but so fun. I love that we have our comfy jammies and that we'll be roomies, and we'll get to share our experience of our very first Stampin' Up! On stage or convention. Okay, so I'm just repeating on both pages. Now I'm going to go over the top of the title, and I still, even when I got all done, I just decided to ink blend over the top of the title, and when I got done, I did add some of the party dots on the over the eyes to dot the eyes, and I'm still contemplating doing a little bit of shading with either the Stampin' Write markers or the Stampin' Blends in the pretty in pink to make it a little bit bolder, but I just wanted it to sit overnight and see how I feel. Now I'm actually pulling out a sapphire, oh my goodness, what is the matter with me? Shimmer brush, because close to my heart, of course, when they had their liquidation sale, had our close to my heart shimmer brushes were all $1. And so everyone I know got tons and tons of shimmer brushes, but you can take the Wink of Stella from Stampin' Up! And blend that with any color that you want to. So you can squeeze out a little ink onto a mat, maybe a little bit of the Blueberry Bushel, and then a little bit of the Wink of Stella, which is their version, Stampin' Up's version of a shimmer brush, and blend the two of those together and just add a few speckles. I didn't go overboard. I just added a few speckles over the blending, the ink blending there for those little treatments there. And then I'm going to fuss here a little bit and get my Polaroids organized, put my triangles in place, and then all that we have left is embellishing. And we're going to keep the embellishments a little bit light because we have so many different patterns in there, and I love all the different patterns that we get a peek actually of every pattern in in this paper line. I think I have to double check and look at all of those, but I think it's maybe there's one floral pattern that I didn't use, but almost all of the patterns in this pack in one layout. I often love to do a feature layout that shows all of the patterns in one set. It's kind of a fun thing to do as well. I don't know how many of you out there have ever been to a Stampin' Up! Convention called On Stage. I'm just so looking forward to it. I made some exchange cards. I have some of my downline team that's going. I have a bunch of upline team that's going. And we're going to reunite with so many close to my heart makers who became Stampin' Up! Demonstrators when Close to My Heart closed. I'm so looking forward to seeing those familiar faces. But what I'm also really looking forward to, aside from seeing all the brand new product, I'm super pumped about that, but is really getting to know more Stampin' Up! Demonstrators. And I say Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, and I am one, but I mean originals. I'm really looking forward to mingling with and getting to know the Stampin' Up! As a company more, and also meet more Stampin' Up! Demonstrators. So I'm so excited. Also, it's 70 degrees this week in North Carolina. And I mean, we're still wintry here in South Dakota. So I'm so looking forward to a little bit more of a temperate climate. So I think I'm going to keep this simple, maybe a little cluster on the upper left and a cluster on the lower right, and as predictable as it is, a nice little visual triangle with a cluster in the middle on the right page. I don't think we really need much more than that. I think that's plenty. I know that on camera it's pretty soft pastel looking, but in person it is just beautiful. I hope those colors are coming through on the camera. It's just so soft and fun and playful, and it has so many different colors in it, and I'm so looking forward to using this for our pajama party. I'm really excited. So I'm going to pop up the cupcake on top of the cake. I'm going to pop up a large floral element there. I did try to make some of those leaves work, but you know, I do need some of those. I'm going to need lots of pieces because it's going to be a 12-page workshop. So I'm okay with using one floral element there, two little cupcake elements down there, and then one floral element at the top. I couldn't quite make the leaves jive. I didn't like the way that they look, but I do love this long sticker that says hooray. And I think if I put a little banner strip across the bottom, there's still plenty of room on the bottom of the Polaroids to do your journaling. You also could add some journaling in a couple different spots. There's still plenty of white space there if you wanted to add your journaling off to the side. Maybe underneath the cake there might be a nice little journal spot, or maybe underneath the Polaroids there would be a great journaling spot. I am going to add a 1/2 inch strip. I couldn't decide between the green gingham and the party dot, but I do go with the party dot. And I think once my photos are in there of our blueberry bushel pajamas, I think it's really, this whole layout is going to take a whole different turn with that pop and splash of color that's going to be added with the photos. So of course, with the left photo, it's a 3 1/4 is the width. So you are going to have a 1/2 by 3 1/4. And then on the right photos, it is a 4 1/4 width. So you're going to have 1/2 by 4 1/4. I do decide to add those party dots to the dots of the eyes. And then I decide to add 3 little party dots in a cluster in the ink area and the splattered area, just for some celebratory fun. And I think I like that. I do, as I'm adding these dots, contemplate markering the, coloring in the This Is Us title, and I still might do that. I just need to think about that. Maybe you can weigh in if you think that that should be colored and be more of a solid color, or at least shaded in the Pretty in Pink color. or if you like it just soft and blended. I would love your input, but you can stay tuned to my social media when I get our PJ party photos in there, and then you'll know what my final answer was if I decide to color in that title or not. I'm just sitting there tapping my fingers trying to decide. I hope you love the first layout in my Sparkle and Shine Wildflower Celebration series. I hope you love the play on the angles, and I hope you loved the tutorial on being able to make embedded titles to stretch your paper and add extra titles to be able to create more layouts out of one workshop kit. You can create a 6-page workshop just as is from the company, or you can create alternative pages and stretch that workshop to more fun pages. Won't you hit like, subscribe, the notifications bell, and come back soon for more on Snips by Kelly.